Welcome, new and old friends. My name is 2482, and today I have 2 tales from tech support for you. Remember, if you want to help this channel, subscribe, check out my merch, or my Patreon. I also want to show you this, my first fan art from Onyx Veil. Thank you so much for this. So, grab yourself a tea or coffee. Things are about to get interesting. Thank you for bringing your lack of work ethic to my attention. By The Noble Mustlid. Disclaimer: first post will probably mess up the formulating. Also, not paid to do tech support. As background will explain. Background: I'm a biology professor at a small college. Due to my overall technical competence, I have a fair bit of an involvement with the technology we use to teach. The main system that we use, LMS, Learning Management System. An LMS is a system that the professor can log into to put in assignments and post grades. And a student can log in to do assignments and see grades. We have one staff person who oversees the LMS. But sometimes when she's swamped, she tells people to ask me nicely if I can help them. Because the technology impaired don't look at the system until the first time they need to pull a grade report. That means right around midterms, people come to ask me questions. There will be 2 characters in this tale. I will be starring as myself. The other is a tall, thin man with a permanent scowl etched into his face. If you're imagining someone who is a set of plastic fangs away from being cast as a professor in a school of vampires, you're imagining him correctly. We'll call him Dr. Vampire because he's exactly the sort of person to dissolve into a howling cloud of bats if you don't call him Doctor. Our tale begins. It's a few days before midterm grades are due, several years ago, back when it was safe to let people in my office. And I already knew that Dr. Vampire needs help. See, the LMS manager has a software booking system, and a big sign on our door that basically says, if this door is closed, I'm in a meeting. To schedule time with me, please send an email here, or use this link here, or scan the QR code and follow this link. So, Dr. Vampire has been writing notes. Physical notes. Saying, I need help. Along with a phone number and sliding this under her door. He has now done this about 3 times, never yet realizing that he needs to use the dreaded computer to even schedule computer help. Hey, Dr. Vampire, I say. I heard you had LMS issues. Dr. Vampire: yes, it's telling me that all the students are failing, but I know they aren't. This indicates that the grade weighting is wrong. Our syllabus weights items by category, which happens to be the easiest way to weigh things in the LMS. You make catalogs, assign the correct weights to the catalogs, and then place all the grade items inside the correct catalogs. There are basically 2 mistakes people make. They put the weights in wrong. You'd be amazed at how often that amounts to basic math mistakes. Or they place something in the wrong category / no category at all. Okay, sounds like a serious problem, I say. Which is true in the sense that failing every student would be bad, but not in the sense that it's a hard fix. Why don't you come over here and log into LMS as yourself and I can take a look. Cue confusion about which computer, because I have 2 monitors. But heaven forbid that anyone understands the difference between a computer and a monitor. I indicate that he is supposed to log into the computer that already has the LMS login page open for him. It rapidly became clear that we are not dealing with a simple misplaced/misweighted item. Every student has a course grade of 0, as if their grade never registered at all. But I can also see grades for assignments. Dr. Vampire is aggravated. See, this person here got 100% on their midterm exam, but it says he has 0 in the course. We are both looking at the same screen. There is an enormous, glaring error which should be obvious to anyone who could read, let alone at the level sufficient to earn a PhD. I give him a gentle hint. Which midterm? Dr. Vampire. There's only one midterm. Why would I have 2 midterms? Me. No. This midterm? I indicate a grade column called midterm. Or this midterm. I indicate a second column called midterm. Dr. Vampire. But I only gave 1 midterm exam. Why are there 2 grades? At this point, I collapse the gradebook so we can only see the column headers. As was already obvious to anyone who had looked at a gradebook for 2 seconds, every single column is presented twice. Since we can still see columns averages, I can also see that one set of items has weight and an average grades of 0, all blank grades. The other set is weighted of 0 and average grades that actually make sense. There is your problem, I say. You have 2 of everything, and the one weighted 0 doesn't count, but it's the one you graded. Dr. Vampire. How do we fix it? I explained that we can just move the weights of the grade columns and delete the non-graded columns. This involves several explanations like, well, this column has a weight of 0 and it's called midterms. So I will assign it with a weight of 0.15, just like this column called midterms. Delete will be the trashcan icon. No, wait, delete the column with no grades in it. The grades are now reasonable. Well, they are really high, especially since I recognize some of these students as notoriously lazy individuals. But the course grades look like they are reasonably derived from the assignment grades. Dr. Vampire is still upset. Will this happen next semester? All I did was have them import my class from last semester. It must have been that girl, Reed woman in her mid-30s who has a PhD, over there, vaguely gesturing towards the LMS manager's office. Me. Huh. Well, let me look at something. I click back to the course page and look to see what materials he imported. He starts gesturing at the material and explains several things that he does that are well beyond any previous technical aptitude he has demonstrated. And then, suddenly, I understand. The double gradebook, the high grades, Dr. Vampire's apparent ability to adjust due to dates inside assignments despite being unable to read his own gradebook. It all makes sense. Since Dr. Vampire can be banished by holding 2 USB drives at the right angles and shouting, "All of your paperwork will be electronic next semester!" the LMS manager has put him on her secret lost cause list. This means that at the beginning of the semester, she just quietly sets up his gradebook with the same weights as last semester. perhaps with an email to his department chair to check if he's changed any grade weights. So, at the beginning of the semester, Dr. Vampire has a fully weighted gradebook, and then he imports the whole course from the last semester, including the grade categories. However, this didn't replace the gradebook, it just added the imported items with a weight of 0 so as not to interfere with anything already set up. So he now had the duplicate items, one weighted and one not. But it's not just the course structure that he's using. No, he's been using the exact same course year after year. At some point he, probably with help, created a series of multiple choice assignments in the LMS, which he uses to replace every homework, quiz, and exam. This is really easy for him since the multiple choice questions just grade themselves. He doesn't even need to look at the student's work anymore. But it's also oblivious why nearly everyone has an A, since the LMS has no anti-cheating mechanism. I need you to imagine being assigned a midterm exam that you can take in your dorm room with your friends from class, with the book open and the internet up, where all the answers are simple facts, and the questions are the same as last semester. We market ourselves as a small school with engaging teachers, not like those big state schools where the teachers are really researchers with a side of teaching. And Dr. Vampire has been taking a hard pass on about 50% of his work for at least 5 years. Me. Okay, yeah, it's an import problem. Let me take some screenshots to document. Dr. Vampire, knowing that I'm on the college technology committee, well, I hope you'll complain to someone who can do something. Me. Certainly. I will definitely be passing along a complaint to someone in charge. What is Communications? Part 2 by Pro-Chimmel. This is a continuation from my previous day video. The link to the video is in the eye icon. Part 1 is rather long, and if you do not want to watch it, here is a too long didn't read. Or in this case, didn't listen. A few months into our new tech job at a small MSP, we take on a large client who has their own in-house IT. We were given admin account in their domain to handle T1 support and a few system admin responsibilities. They then hired a system administrator of their own about 6 weeks into our contract, and he took on some of our responsibilities that were more suited for a system admin to handle. As time went by, he continuously, and unbeknownst to anyone, also changed our account permissions around, making our job difficult and resulting in various meetings where this needed to be addressed, since it was a breach of contract. By the point in this story, our shared admin account had been discommissioned and we were given individual admin accounts with limited access. I'll leave it at that. Now allow this tale to do the rest of the talking. Characters. SA, System Admin. Tech, one of our client's IT personnel. CIO, client CIO, and boss of SA and Tech. Me is me. Boss is my boss. At this point into this ordeal, we have had at least 3 to 4 meetings where we've addressed our grievances with SA's behavior. Each meeting would start with both sides bringing out any outstanding issues on any subject. And then we dedicate about 5 to 15 minutes towards the end solely to talk about how our account permissions changed. And then we dedicate 5 to 15 minutes towards the end solely to talk about how our account permission changes are getting out of hand and how it is in turn affecting their users and their patients. The client is in the healthcare field. Each and every time, the conversation would go as followed. Boss, okay, so now that we've wrapped everything else up, we once again need to discuss what we're going to do about our account's permissions being manipulated without our consent. SA, remember that your accounts are in my domain. You guys no longer need access to XYZ. So, the access has been removed. Just forward those tickets over to us and I'll take care of it. Boss, SA, users are getting frustrated at us being unable to resolve their issues on time because of us not having access. CIO, I believe you understand that in the end, you're going to end up taking all the flack for this. So this needs to be remedied for all of our benefits. CEO, yes, I understand. I've been swamped and I haven't been able to speak to SA about this. SA and I will speak about this offline and make sure you don't have this happen again. Don't you just love false promises? Anyways, before we move on with the story, I want to clarify something that many of you are most likely thinking now. Why is SA not reprimanded? Why is he still employed there? Simply, unless SA does something that would directly involve HR's intervention, CIO is the only one with authority to fire him. And why doesn't CEO fire him? Because as a C-level employee, he will always claim that he needs to fit 12 hours of work into an 8-hour workday, leaving him no room to deal with SA. In the end, tickets were being handled, issues were being escalated with appropriate urgencies, and the other department managers were, probably, not receiving enough complaints to warrant a meeting with the CIO. So, with that being said, SA was essentially allowed to let loose. But you'd be out of your mind if you thought I was going to let this ruin my life. As time went by, we noticed that SA was no longer attending meetings. But Boss and I were not letting him get away that easily. I kept tickets of each and every ticket that we were unable to resolve due to our permission changes, and sent Boss weekly reports comprised of all these tickets. Every month, he would then consolidate these reports and have an offline conversation with CIO, solely to complain about SA's misconduct. I'm not entirely sure what verbatim he would use during these meetings, but he told me he tried his best to go over each and every ticket in that report to really let this sink into CIO's head. So, if a user was ever to complain to their manager or to CIO directly about a ticket taking too long to complete, we now had solid proof to show that it was a direct result of SA's misconduct. It was only a matter of time. One day, I got a call from tech while I was at the trouble desk. Me. Hey tech, what's going on? I already had their personal extension memorized. We were on the phone all the time due to our constant escalation. Tech. Hey me, I want to inform you that we're going to be passing the duty of patch workstations back to your team. SA passed it on to me, but I'm getting swamped with getting users set up for work from home due to insert 2020. Workstation patching here is not a lot of work, but I can tell that I'll end up slipping my mind and I can't have that happen. Oh, so SA bit off a little more than he could chew? Interesting. Me, of course, no worry, Tech. Can this hold off for a day or two, though? We're going to have to review the patching policies that were set in place before SA came aboard. I want to make sure that this is all up to date. Tech, sure, the sooner the better, but no rush. Let me know when you're ready to transition. Fast forward a few days. Policy was reviewed and signed by both parties. We regained access to the servers that manage patching. Tech and I then scheduled a few screen sharing sessions so he could go over the new machines that they had added and the new patching schedule they set up. Workstation patching was done once a week between the hours of 9 p.m. and 4 a.m., which includes security updates and third-party updates. Pretty standard stuff. Tech mentioned that he and SA had also been pushing out third-party updates during the day as long as they didn't require a reboot. His reasoning was that he wanted to ensure that their browsers were always up to date because he didn't trust his users browsing the internet while remoting into their machines from home, where they're not being supervised. Sure, their domain, their rules. After the call, I emailed him and got a confirmation that it's okay to push out third-party updates during the day, and got a response saying that it's fine, mentioning the same reasoning as above. Cool, I'm covered. Everything went smooth sailing for the next 2 months. Patches were going fine, we were now accustomed to escalating the appropriate tickets, and SA had not messed with our accounts at all. But of course, nothing gold can stay. One day, I pushed out a Google Chrome update to 7 workstations in the late afternoon. These machines were offline in the night before and didn't receive the updates. As the update is being pushed out, I get a call from SA. First time I've spoken to him since his last meeting. Me, hey SA, how is everything? SA, all is well. I just wanted to ask why there's an update being pushed out in the middle of the workday? Oh, it's just a third-party update. 7 machines failed last night, and they needed to have their browsers updated. SA, yes, but why is it being pushed out now? Why not at night? Me? Well, Tech said that you and he both did this when... SA, me? I would never in a million years authorize an update in the middle of the day. Are you kidding me? I know Tech wouldn't do it either. I don't know why in the world you would think that this is okay. I stay silent, thinking, was I set up? Was this a trap? SA, don't worry, I stopped the update. Have a good day. At this point, I'm appalled, confused, and most of all, disappointed at myself. Pushing out an update in the middle of the day is never good practice unless it's urgent. Why did I do it? Was I wrong to do it? Not even a minute later, I got a call from my boss. Boss, why the fudge did I just get a call from CIO saying that you pushed out an update in the middle of the day? We never, ever do that. What is wrong with you? Me, boss, you have to understand, this was standard procedure. This is never standard procedure. I never instructed you to do something like this. I'm literally furious. Me. It's standard procedure for them. When they pass the responsibilities on to me, I got explicit consent from tech to do this for security reasons. Boss, calming down. Wait. Are you serious? Are you sure you have proof? Me? Yes, I'll send you the email from tech now. Boss, but I thought SA was in charge of patching before you. When was it passed on to tech? Me. Tech told me that SA couldn't handle it and passed it on to him, and then he passed it on to us. Boss, finally realizing that SA was behind this. Wow, okay. Send me the email. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. It's not your fault. Me. Sure, sending it now. And just FYI, there are no reboots scheduled for this update, and no one sent in a single ticket about this causing an issue. The complaint came straight from SA. Boss, no need to say more. I'll handle it. Thank you. And sorry for yelling. Just to clarify, when SA and Tech were in charge of patching, they were indeed pushing out these updates in the middle of the day, as it was pre-approved beforehand by CIO. I found logs that confirmed this and also sent these to Boss to prove that I was not the first to do so. After this incident, Boss contacted CEO and CFO of the client and scheduled a meeting with them along with the CIO. I could tell this was the last straw. The result of this meeting would determine SA's fate. Would we finally be free from the grasp of paranoia? Would he finally be released into the wild and set to ruin another MSP in place of us? Well, it turns out that in IT, there is no place for this type of naive thinking. So no, SA stayed. The CFO and CEO saw how well everything was going based on the numbers of tickets that were being closed and how minimal the complaints had been, and deemed that we should keep everything as is. According to them, we just need to work everything out. The minute I heard this, I marked a day in my calendar as put in 2 weeks' notice. A few days later, I called my boss and explained that I wasn't cut out for this and that I was leaving the company in effect to find a position in my true career path, software engineering. He understood completely, knowing the previous instance would have caused anyone to walk out. Out of sheer respect and appreciation for my colleagues and my boss, I put in a month's notice before leaving, instead of 2 weeks. Instead of the usual 2 weeks. This would give them enough time to find my replacement and allow me to transition my work to them and my colleagues. I ended up staying an extra week on top of that just to help clean up a few things that were on my account. Since leaving, I found a new position as a software engineer at another company. Boss has contacted me with other software development side gigs that his contacts have sent him. He has truly been a blessing in my life, and he has taught me more than I ever expected to learn while working for an MSP. It's unfortunate that the incident pushed me away, but at the same time, it really made me realize how much I disliked working tech support in a toxic client-contract relationship. I really enjoyed the Dr. Vampire story. That one, I laughed a few times as I read it. I really hope he learned why he needs to do his job. As for the second one about OP at MSP, I'm happy they left their job. Really seems like SA wanted them gone or make sure they looked bad. But OP is now doing the job he really wanted to do, and their old boss is even helping them. Both stories were really great, and I hope you feel the same. I do hope you enjoyed these stories. If you did, hit that like button and make sure it feels it. Now, if you'd like to help this channel, then subscribe and turn that pretty little bell to all notifications. Though, if you like mugs, well, I have those. I have merch and 2 different links down below for 2 different price points. I also have a Patreon that gets early access to the audio of these stories. All the links are down below. But most importantly, thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day.